Do you condemn Benjamin Netanyahu's terrorism against the children of Gaza?
Well, I wouldn't categorise it as you do as terrorism, although I do think that they've committed some acts which I do think are acts of terrorists. For example, the aggressive, violent expansion on the settlements on the West Bank. I think you could inarguably say, well, that's a form of terrorism. My answer to your question, I wouldn't categorise it as terrorism to respond to a terror attack by going to kill the terrorists. However, has it got completely unacceptable, the level of civilian death that's been going on in Gaza, particularly children? I say yes, and this has to stop.
What is the acceptable level of death?
Well, I don't know. That's why I've always said from the start, what is proportionate? What do people expect people to do? I mean, for example, when America, after 9/11, went into Iraq, as you know, I waged a campaign at the Daily Mirror newspaper against it. I thought it was an illegal.
But you haven't waged a campaign against this?
Well, because the point about Iraq was they didn't perpetrate 9/11. Nothing to do with it. So it's
about the goal, not the conduct of the war. I'm asking you about the conduct.
Yeah,
right? I don't want to have an argument about the goals.
I understand.
I'm saying if you kill, for example, you saw the video, because I know you were on social media as much as I am, a video that Washington Post verified of a little kid, 13 years old, is attacked by a drone, minding his own business. He's not Hamas. There's no Hamas hiding behind him. He's attacked. As he's bleeding out and people come to help him, they attack again. That's a double tap. It's what Al-Qaeda and ISIS do, double tap strike. How is that not an act of terror?
Well, because
2 kids are killed deliberately.
Listen, I've seen a lot of videos. Some of them are...
But that one specifically, is that an act of terror in your view?
It is in your eyes.
No, I'm asking your view.
Well, no, I haven't seen the one you're talking about. What I would say about it is that I want to see all of these things properly investigated and to establish whether there have been war crimes committed. And if there have been, absolutely hold the people who perpetrated it to account.
So you think Yahya Sinwar is a terrorist, right?
Yeah.
And there was an arrest warrant request for Yahya Sinwar from the International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan, British lawyer. He's also put out an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu. He's accused Netanyahu, well, he's asked for one. The court is being lobbied not to do it. He's asked for an arrest warrant, and the indictments he's put out include, this is what he's accused Netanyahu of: starvation, murder, willful killing, extermination. How is Netanyahu not a terrorist, Piers?
Well, it may end up being that he is convicted of war crimes that suggest he's a terrorist.
But Sinwar wasn't convicted of.
Well, Sinwar,
I'm just being consistent. The ICC chief prosecutor put out warrant requests for both.
Here's the difference. Hamas made no secret of what they did on October the 7th. Sinwar directed and ordered that attack. No one
Nor is
disputes
Israel.
that. Yeah, but what the difference is that Hamas said, here are the GoPro cameras. We're going to show the world what we're doing here.
So is Israel. I just mentioned a video where a kid is killed on camera. Yeah. In fact, Israeli soldiers have put out TikToks of their war crimes, Piers.
You're not going to get me to say that what Israel's been doing is terrorism, because I believe they are defending
Why
their
not,
people.
though, is what I'm wondering. Because, seems to be just a stubborn resistance.
Because any country in the world that had October the 7th perpetrated against them would do what Israel has done.
No, they wouldn't.
Yes, they would.
They would have killed kids on this level.
No, if you had literally a country on your border...
Well, it's not a country on your border, it's occupied territory. I think you've conceded yourself in previous
I have actually said to you, I believe it is occupied territory.
Okay, then, so it's not a country on your border.
Let's call it, what do you want to call it?
Occupied territory.
Okay, well, let's call it Gaza.
Okay.
That on one single day, in 13 different entry points, 3,000 people came through and committed as much mayhem and murder as they could possibly commit in a deliberate attempt to destabilise and take down Israel, which is the intention of their original charter. If that happened on any border, shared border, in the world, there is no country in the world that would not have responded with military force in the way that Israel has done.
I don't agree with that. But let me say you're right.
Well,
every country would have done that. Doesn't make it not terrorism.
No, but then what you're saying is that any country that then goes after terrorists that perpetrate that kind of attack automatically themselves become terrorists.
No.
I dispute that categorization.
No, I'm saying that's a straw man.
Well, give me an example where they're not terrorists.
I just gave you an example. They could have responded to Hamas without attacking a kid, killing the kid, and when people come to rescue him, attacking them as well. I can be here all day. We don't have the time.
So
I can go through. They didn't need to attack an apartment building.
When American
We're
forces...
not doing whataboutism. We're not doing whataboutism.
When they went after ISIS,
yeah,
but they killed a lot of innocent children in the process.
I think those were acts of war crimes. I think war crimes are acts of terror. Yes.
So if you go after...
I don't think...
So if you go after any terror group in the world...
No, I'm saying if you... hold on, Piers. The definition of terrorism, according to every dictionary, is the use of political violence against civilians for political goals. That is what Netanyahu is doing. He said it openly. Israelis have said it on your show.
Well, he's responding to a terrorist attack.
By doing more terrorism.
He's
killed 33 times as many people as Yahya Sinwar.
Let me be clear.
But Sinwar's a terrorist and not Netanyahu.
Netanyahu should absolutely no longer be Prime Minister of Israel.
Should he be at the ICC?
Probably, yeah.
So if the warrant comes down, you support the UK arresting him if he comes to the UK?
I absolutely think that his alleged war crimes, and I use that because they've not been substantiated, his alleged war crimes should absolutely be investigated.
This doesn't make any sense. I agree with you. No. I agree with you that they haven't been substantiated, but I'm being consistent. I'm saying everyone, Hamas, Israel, should be substantiated in investigation. You're saying one side's terrorists based on GoPro, but the other side's not terrorists, even though we've watched them kill thousands of people on camera. Literally, I've seen it. I saw them gun down an old lady holding a white flag.
Hamas have made no secret that what they did was terrorism.
Nor of Israel. Have you listened to Israeli soldiers? You should watch our documentary. documentary. It's called Israel's Real Extremism. It shows Israeli soldiers talking proudly about what they've done in Gaza. It's not just the T word, Piers, that you've been reluctant to use in relation to Israel, but also the G word, genocide.
It's not genocide.
Why are you, so let's talk about that. Why are you perfectly happy to call what Russia is doing in Ukraine a genocide, but not what Israel's doing in Gaza when there are fewer civilians, far fewer kids killed in Ukraine than in Gaza, arguably way less genocidal rhetoric from the Russian government than we hear from the Israeli government? Why are you so uncensored on Russia but not on Israel? What are you afraid of?
I actually thought when you first jumped with that, it was a good point. I hadn't realised I'd used the word genocide in relation to what was going on in Russia. And I did go away and think about that quite carefully. Because you've got to be careful about the word genocide. The word genocide is where you deliberately exterminate a group of people based on ethnicity. And the reality about, let's take Gaza first of all. If Israel actually wanted to get rid of everyone in Gaza, they have the military power to do that. They have nuclear weapons. They could just nuke Gaza, as some of them, I suspect, would quite like to do. They've got some massively right-wing headbangers in that government, Ben-Gvir, Smodrich and others, who I suspect wouldn't hesitate to wage a form of genocide. So I accept that completely. But the reality is there are 2 million people in Gaza, of which, depending which estimate you want to believe, but the official records from the Hamas-run Health Authority, there are about 45,000 people have died, of which it is estimated around 15 to 20,000 are Hamas, and the rest are civilians.
They're estimated by Israel, but okay.
Okay, but there are different figures put out. But let's assume it's in that ballpark, okay?
No.
Well, okay, but it
you can say that.
Here's my point. It's not 2 million people, which Israel
But that's not the definition of genocide.
Well, isn't it?
No. The Genocide Convention doesn't say you have to kill everyone. By the way, you said this to Bassem Youssef, our good friend, last week on the show. You said, well, I want to read you exactly what you said. Israel hasn't nuked Gaza, quote, they could have done. They haven't done that. If you're really genocidal, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
But Russia has the ability to nuke Ukraine too. Russia has the biggest stockpile of nuclear warheads in the world. So why hasn't Russia? So Russia's not doing a genocide?
No, I don't think they are, and I shouldn't have said that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in order to defend Israel, you're withdrawing your allegation against Russia?
Yeah, because you made me think about it. I didn't remember that I'd used that word in relation to.
But it's not just Russia.
No, because
you said it about many people.
Well, okay, so
you said Bashar al-Assad in 2012, 1 year into the civil war in Syria, when the death toll was much lower than Gaza. You said it was a genocide. You said the Rohingya in Burma.
Well, that's interesting.
Hold on. You said Rohingya in Burma.
Answer.
I'm finished my question. Then you answer. Okay. You said the Rohingya in 2017, far less death toll in Burma, is a genocide. So I look at Piers Morgan and I say, here's this uncensored person, very bold, outspoken, opinionated man. He says Syria's a genocide. Burma's a genocide. Ukraine's a genocide. Israel? No, it's not a genocide. And now today, actually, I'm going to withdraw the charge of genocide with Ukraine. That's how much I don't want to accuse Israel of genocide.
No, it's not. It
feels like you're afraid.
No, the other examples I would give, I would say absolutely there was genocidal intent. You did make me think about what was happening in Russia and Ukraine. And the reality is, as people know in that area, it is complicated because a lot of the people in the Donbass, for example, speak Russian, right? And some of them, a percentage of them, do identify as Russian and would quite like to go back to being Russian. So I think to use the word genocide about what Russia is doing there is the wrong term.
Holocaust historians like Omar Bartov and Amos Goldberg, Ariel Naya, some of the experts on Holocaust say it is a genocide.
Yeah, but a lot of experts say it's not a genocide.
That's not actually some of the leading Holocaust experts are lining up in one direction.
You've got your experts. I've seen many other experts who say it's not genocide. So you can, look.
I just find it fascinating that you'll call every other conflict which has fewer deaths than Gaza genocide. But for some reason,
you're fewer deaths in Syria.
There were in February 2012. I checked. You said it was a genocide in February 2012. See, I do my homework. I checked. 7,500 people in Syria being killed at that point. You said genocide. 45,000 people in Gaza. You say not genocide.
Well, it comes down to what you think the intent is of the people perpetrating.
You don't think they're trying to erase northern Gaza right now?
I think what they're doing.
Are you seeing what's happening in northern Gaza?
Here's what I think they're doing. I think Israel genuinely believe what they're trying to do is eliminate Hamas, who they perceive to be a terrorist.
I think you're speaking on behalf of Israelis who aren't saying that. They're making it very clear. It's not just about Hamas. They're seizing territory in Gaza. They're planning to. Some of them are planning to resettle in Gaza. And right now, northern Gaza, according to the UN humanitarian chief, everyone is at risk of dying, Piers. Everyone. That's the words of the UN humanitarian chief.
Don't misunderstand me. I think what's happening in Gaza is horrific.
You just won't say genocide?
No. You asked me if it's genocide. I don't think it is. And you asked me if it's terrorism. I don't think it is. Do I think it's got unacceptable, the level of civilian death? Absolutely.
But you do think Netanyahu probably could end up at the ICC?
Do I think that they have no plan for the end of this? Absolutely. Do I think Netanyahu and the headbangers and his cabinet should go? Absolutely. Do I think Hamas should have any authority going forward? No. So there are lots of ways that we can try and
but ultimately history will judge where you were on this, and they'll say you were right on Iraq and you didn't really come on board on Gaza.
And I don't think they'll find that you were right about calling it terrorism or genocide.
Okay.
We'll see.
I hope you're right. Obviously, I don't want it to be a genocide, but it looks like one, sounds like one, walks like one.